you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
Yes, and speaking of upcoming episodes, today's episode is full of some wonderful, adventurous things, including our Around the Town to the Atlanta Beltline, which is a really, really neat place to go. We're going to talk a lot about that. I'll show you a video about that in just a little bit, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that. We're also going to be, in our perspective segment, talking about passion, finding your passion. Is it really possible to find your passion? We hear a lot about that, and Adrianna and I are going to discuss that. And then in our Continuing the Conversation segment, we get to sit down with Joanne Hatton and with Tony Paullin and talk about their passion for bicycles. And you're going to really love what they're doing, the initiative that they've taken in the community to help with people get bicycles. And so you want to absolutely stay tuned for that interview. It's extremely inspiring. Adrianna, what else?
So this week in our Meal of the Week segment, I'm going to be showing you how to make some nice, soft, fluffy cinnamon rolls. A lot of people think they can't make pastries at home, but it's actually super easy.
Yeah, and very, very delicious. So you must stay tuned for cinnamon rolls, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So we got to take a break. Don't go away. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Elevate Talk Show. This is our perspective segment where Adrianna and I talk about a particular topic. And today's question for the topic is it really possible to find your passion? We hear people talk about passion, they're passionate about this, or, I have a passion for that. Well, is that really possible? Is that even something we should be aspiring to do? So we want to talk about that. I know for me, I'm a passionate kind of person. I think Adrianna can attest to that.
Yeah.
And I have a real passion for language, for all things, whether that language be in the written form or whether it be for storytelling. I've done a lot of both. Over the years, I have been a professional storyteller and even had a record. That word dates me, but I several years ago was able to go into the studios and make what is called Fabulous Funky Fairy Tales, and it was 4 fairy tale stories that I rewrote in rhyme and verse, and it did very well. It got rated by the American Library Association, had great ratings, and it even made it onto the New York Times book list. So I've always been into words. I think people consider me a wordsmith. And whether, like I said, it's been in the storytelling form or whether it was as a journalist, because I've also written for several news outlets, words are my thing. Words are what I've had the passion for. And depending on the season in my life, I've been able to exhibit or explore those passions in various different ways. Like I said, as a professional storyteller, as a writer, a contributing writer for several news outlets, as a podcaster, and now as a YouTuber, as a host for a YouTube show. So I think I've been someone who's lived out my passion. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I think it's definitely possible to find your passion, but I think it may not necessarily be where you expect it to be. Your job doesn't necessarily have to be your passion.
True.
It could be your hobby. It could be volunteering.
Yes.
It could be something you do outside of work.
Right.
And I think that, I think that it's not necessarily your job.
Yeah.
I think there are also some jobs where it's very important for your job to be your passion.
Yes.
Like if you're doing a lot of creative work.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're not,
yes.
You may be able to have a job that's not necessarily your passion and get that fulfillment in other areas.
Absolutely. And so I think it's important, though, not to I think it's important not to lock yourself in. I mean, and by that I mean, I think that you can have I think your passion can evolve. Like you said, I think it can be it doesn't necessarily have to be your vocation. We know people who are lawyers but who have a real passion for cooking. Not that they don't necessarily not that they necessarily hate law, but they have other things. And I think, like you said, I think you have to. It can come in a lot of different ways and forms, and not to lock yourself in by saying that I have to make a living for this. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you have to make a living for that. Well, we're going to be talking with two people, Joanne and Tony, about their passion in the next segment, which is called Continuing the Conversation. So you absolutely want to stay tuned for that. We have to take a break. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Welcome back to the Elevate Talk Show, and we're going to continue our conversation with Joanne Hatton and Tony Paullin.
Yes, Joanne and Tony are two people that my husband and I met several months ago when we were looking for bicycles for a community event we were doing that we had in our own neighborhood. We were looking to give away some bikes to people who were needing some, as well as fixed bikes for those who needed their bicycles fixed. Well, my husband came across Joanne based on Facebook, from a Facebook post or whatever. Anyway, one thing led to another, and we discovered that her and Tony are the owners of A&J Bicycle Recycle and Repair. It's a community bike initiative. Basically what they do is they get bikes, they repair them, and then they give them away to people in the community for free, or at least for a small donation. Well, we got to talk with them and meet with them. They're doing terrific things, and I'm gonna let them tell you more about that. So please turn your attention to our interview with Joanne Hatton and Tony Paullin from A&J Bicycle Repair. Well, thank you so much, Joanne and Tony, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to be my guest on the Elevate Talk Show. I'm so excited about having you here and you sharing with my audience all that you do with your community bike. Well, it's not a club, but all that you do with the community with bikes. So let's get into that. First and foremost, can you just tell me briefly, how did you get started repairing bikes? How and when?
We started in January of 2020, and we started this actually to help our son, to give him something to do because he's autistic, and he wasn't interested in doing the bikes. He wanted to do other stuff. And Tony had been fixing bikes since he was a child with his brother. And so he wanted to also get into something because the doctors had told him he wasn't allowed to work anymore because of his COPD. So they put him on Social Security. And rather than just sit back and do nothing and watch the world go by, we wanted to be part of it.
Wow, that's a fantastic story. So you started during the pandemic, right?
Just as the pandemic was beginning.
Yeah, just before.
That's right, because the pandemic started, I think we were in a pandemic like March of 2020, and you guys had started just before that, right?
Yep.
So perfect timing, because who knew that bikes were going to be this huge thing, right?
Yeah.
Who knew?
It exploded. It's crazy.
Oh, it just exploded. So that's, y'all's timing was absolutely perfect. So now, this is a question for both of you, either one or one of you, whoever's comfortable answering can answer this, but why are you passionate about bikes out of all the things? You mentioned a little bit that Tony grew up fixing bikes, so maybe that has something to do with it, but tell me, why bikes? Because you could have picked anything.
Well, basically, if you know what you're doing, it's not that difficult to repair a bike.
Yeah.
And one of the super high-end bikes that cost between $4,000 and $6,000, but
God, yeah,
that's an entirely different beast.
Yes.
Other than that, it gives me something to do, and it's a way for me to honor my brother.
Oh wow.
My brother is the one who taught me how to work on bikes when I was like 10.
Yes. That's wonderful. What a wonderful way to honor him. Has he passed away? Is he gone?
He passed away in 2000, due to complications of kidney disease.
Oh, wow. So this is a way for you to honor
Yeah.
him by doing something that you grew up doing with him, something that you both obviously love to do.
And being that we both kind of came from not such income savvy families, because I grew up on a farm in Minnesota and Tony, Jersey.
Yeah.
And because we didn't really have a whole lot when we were kids, but we had what we needed.
Right.
And our did the best they could. We felt that the bikes were a perfect option because every kid needs a bike to ride.
Yep.
Every family, like when money is tight, a bike ride is a perfect thing.
Oh, it is. It is. And as we all know, that was the go-to for a lot of people during this pandemic. People were able to just get on their bikes and go outside and ride. As a matter of fact, my husband, you've met him. He's a cyclist, and like Tony grew up, working on bikes and riding bikes and all that kind of stuff. And so it was an opportunity for him to connect with the community as well. That's why we feel like we have such a kindred spirit with you guys, because we love bikes too, and then we found y'all, and so I think it's fascinating how this all unfolded. But share with my audience about how this has helped people in the community.
A lot of families they just don't have the options to get a bike because the new bikes are too expensive. So we kept seeing all these people trying to give away bikes, and so we started asking for some of the free bikes, it's like, hey, we'd like to try something and, fix it, and then we'll give them out to a kid that needs them.
Yeah.
And we started working with Bloom Closet, which is a foster care program that gives out items that the foster kids need when they foster care. And we were getting smiles from the staff there, but we weren't able to see smiles from the kids.
Yeah.
But we were able to see staff smiles, and that was awesome.
Right.
And then we started to expand and giving just bikes to families that had lost bikes in fires.
Right.
They lost like in the tornadoes at Noonan, there was a bunch of I think about 45 or 50 bikes of ours went out to Noonan. And we've expanded where people have started asking us directly for bikes.
And I know from the stories that you've told us personally, I mean, you're dealing with organizations, but like you said, you're dealing with individual families, and and we got to know you because we do a bike ministry here in Decatur. And I'll just have to tell you that the bikes you gave us to give the kids that came to our bike event, they were just beaming. These kids were just beaming, Joanne. Some of these kids hadn't had a bike. They hadn't planned on getting a bike. We just gave 4 bikes of y'all's away to some refugee kids that live in Clarkston. And they were, I cannot tell you, I almost cried because of their response. They had no bikes, and their mother is a single mom. And she had no way of getting them a bike. So I don't know whether you guys know just how amazing and meaningful and life-changing, life-giving this is. Do you guys know that?
Yes, we do understand that. We have seen
all the time.
We love seeing the smiles, and it's just the smiles just beam. And there has been so many kids that we've given bikes to, and they get on their bikes because they're so excited they finally have a bike that it looks nice.
Yes.
And won't get off the bike except for to stop and give us hugs and then get back on the bike and take off again.
This show that I'm doing this week is about passions, how to find your passion. That's the topic of the show. But your passion is changing other people's lives. I mean, what would you say to people finding their passion? I mean, where do you go to find it? I mean, y'all found it, so it's there for people. So what do you say to that?
They just have to figure out what their passion is, and then just start small. And work your way up, because that's what we've done. We started from a couple of bikes, and it's exploded because people started hearing about us.
Yes.
And they started seeking us out, which is really feeling.
Yes. I love your heart for the community. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Tony. You guys are a blessing to many, and we appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the holiday talk show. Now we're going to be doing our Around the Town segment, and this week we take you to the Atlanta Beltline in Metro Atlanta. And the Atlanta Beltline has all kinds of wonderful, interesting things to do. It's actually a former railway corridor that goes around the core of Atlanta, and that's been redone so that people can walk and ride, and there's all kinds of restaurants and things. Do you know a little bit about how it got started?
Yes, it was actually planned. The idea of repurposing the Atlanta Beltline, the railway corridor into the Atlanta Beltline, was actually designed and planned by a Georgia Tech student named Ryan Gravel.
Wow, a college kid?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And so wasn't it his
it was his thesis project.
Amazing. And so it went from that to all that it is today, and it's one of the most extensive outdoor projects in the Metro Atlanta area. I read on their website. So amazing. So please turn your attention to our adventures on the Atlanta Beltline. This week's Around the Town takes us to the Atlanta Beltline, a former railway corridor around the core of Atlanta, Georgia. Some portions of the Beltline are already complete, while others are still in a rough state but hikeable. The Beltline offers a variety of activities, including bicycle tours and the Atlanta Beltline Weekly Run Club meetup. As you travel along the trail, expect to see art murals covering train underpasses and art on other hardscapes and buildings, as well as partial views of the Atlanta skyline. A major point of interest on the Beltline is the Ponce City Market, a vibrant converted historic Sears building, now a market with a food hall, shops, and living space. Because of its views, the Ponce City Market is also a wonderful place to do photo shoots for special occasions. The Beltline is a great place for shopping and dining with friends and family. There are a variety of retail shops and eateries, including the Krog Street Market, a food hall that features a collection of restaurants. If you're looking for an exciting outdoor experience full of activities and adventure, plan to visit the Atlanta Beltline. You will not be disappointed. For more information about the Atlanta Beltline, visit www.beltline.org. Well, we hope you enjoyed our adventures on the Atlanta Beltline. We need to take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
How to make cinnamon rolls. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off by blooming the yeast. So I'm going to put in 1 cup of warm milk. You just want to take some milk and warm it up in your microwave for about 45 seconds. So I'm going to put that in there. And I'm going to put in 1 package of active dry yeast. And I'm just going to mix this together. And I'm going to let this sit in my bowl for about 3 to 5 minutes until the milk and yeast mixture has become nice and foamy. Alright, so now that the yeast has bloomed, let's put in the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to start off by putting in 4.5 cups of flour. I'm just going to mix that in. And then I'm going to stick the rest in. Now I'm going to put in 1/3 cup of butter. 2 eggs. And 1/2 cup of sugar. so now that we've mixed all these ingredients together, I'm just gonna let the dough rise for about an hour, and then I'll be back to move on with the rest of the recipe. So the dough is done rising, it's been about an hour. So now I'm gonna roll it out and put in the filling. So first I've got 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar mixed with 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in this bowl. And what I'm gonna do to make the filling is just add in 1/4 cup of melted butter, and I'm just gonna whisk that together. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside, and now I'm just gonna put down some flour on the cutting board so that the dough won't stick when we roll it out. Okay, so I'm going to take the dough, I'm just going to stick it down here, and I'm going to just press it together a bit, and now I'm going to stick some flour on top of the dough so that it won't stick to the rolling pin. You want to make sure you get dough all over the edges because you don't want it to stick to any part of the rolling pin. So now I'm just going to roll this out into a rectangle. So I've rolled the dough into a roughly rectangular shape. You don't have to worry about getting like 4 perfect 90-degree angles. You just want it to be longer than it is wide. So I'm going to put our filling on. And I'm just going to spread this out until it's all evenly distributed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn my cutting board this way, and I'm going to fold it over the long way. So I'm just going to fold this, and then I'm going to roll it all the way to the edge. And then I'm just going to pick up the whole cinnamon roll, and I'm just going to move it to the center of the cutting board so that I can cut it. So I'm going to cut off this bit of dough and a little bit trim off the edges because this doesn't have any filling in it. So now I'm going to cut this into 12 pieces. I'm using a serrated knife because that cuts through the dough better without ripping it or smushing it together. If you try to use a regular knife, it ends up not turning out well. But you can use any serrated knife. I'm using a bread knife. If you don't have access to a bread knife, you can also use a serrated steak knife. Alright, so I've cut out our cinnamon rolls, and now I'm going to take these and put them in a glass pan and let them rise for another hour. Alright, so I finished cutting out our cinnamon rolls, and then I'm going to let them rise in a glass pan for about an hour, and then I'll be back to show you the final results. And they're absolutely delicious. After I let them rise for an hour, I baked them in a 350-degree oven for 25 minutes, and they look really delicious. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take a couple of these cinnamon rolls and just separate them from the pan with a spatula. and I'm just gonna put them on a plate. They're very nice and fluffy. And I'm just gonna take some glaze. I'll put a recipe for the cinnamon glaze in the description. And I'm just gonna drizzle this over the cinnamon rolls with a whisk. So there you are. I'm gonna give you a close-up shot so that you can see how good these look. Well, I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and I can't wait to see you next week. Welcome back to the Elevate Talk Show. Our time is almost up, but before we go, we just want to tell you about a couple of things. We just started a business directory, which is a free resource that will allow you to list your business in a directory so that other people can find you and you can reach more customers.
Yes.
If you want to list your business in our directory, subscribe to our channel, and then in the comments section, list your business's name, email address, phone number, and website, and then we'll be able to put your business in our directory so that our viewers and anyone else who comes to our show can watch you.
Yes, so it's a great opportunity, to promote your business for free. So don't want to miss out on that. Another thing that the Elevate Talk Show wants to let you know about is that we have new refrigerator magnets. Ooh. And I am very, very excited about these. Adrianna can tell you so.
Yeah, she's very excited.
I'm very tactile, so being able to touch this and hold it and put it on things, oh, it's just wonderful. And so for all you tactile people out there, this is for you. Anyway, we'd love to send you one. So again, subscribe to the show. Go to our channel, the Elevate Talk Show channel. Subscribe to the show, and then just send us your address. You can email us your address or put it in the comments section, and we will be happy to send you one post haste. So make sure you let us know, and we'll send one right out for you. Adrianna, can you remind our audience about when they can find us and where they can find our show?
Yes, so we upload new episodes of the Elevate Talk Show every week. You can catch us on YouTube, or you can also watch us on Sundays at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 25. Or you can see us at decab25.com.
Right, or at 7 p.m. on Sunday evenings, live stream the show there. So lots of ways to catch the Elevate Talk Show. That's right. So we want to thank you for being with us. We don't take that for granted. We appreciate your support, and we are hoping to see you next time on the Elevate Talk Show. So in the meantime, have a great week. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye now.